In this video, I'm going to show you how I increase or decrease the students' 1 rep maxes as they get stronger or weaker across time. So after I initially get all the data for the students, I plug that into the info sheet here, as well as I had plugged it into the old information sheet, which is basically their original numbers. So I can see their old averages up here, old class average on the old info sheet, and then the current class average, which as we progress across time, hopefully these are going to raise as the students get stronger. So for each of these sheets, how I increase their maxes or how I plug in information that shows whether it get stronger or weaker is based off of how many reps they do for their last set for some of these sheets here. So for a lot of these phases, the last set for each lift has a plus next to it. So for instance, hang power clean here for Monday on week 5, the last set is 5 plus. So they're designed to get 5 reps for this, but I want them to get as many as they can reasonably get at that last weight. Say that this student here or myself, I got 8 at that last weight, then I have the students write the number they got here for their last set. So if a student got 8 where it said 5 plus at 210, I'll just have them write an 8 there. Or say that student got 5 reps at their last weight, I'll have them write a 5 there. And that lets me know how many reps they did for their last set. So I know whether to raise their numbers, lower their numbers, or to keep their numbers right where they're at. And that's true anywhere it says plus for that last set. So 12 plus here for back squats. Wednesday for the last set, it says 12 plus for bench press. Same thing with strict press and front squats on Friday. And again, that's only true for the last set there. Some of the weeks will not have that plus. So if I click on the overview here, they'll have the plus for hypertrophy and basic strength for that last set. But then if we get into strength and power, the numbers are decreased slightly. So they should be able to do more than that last set rep scheme. But I don't necessarily want them to because I want them going for speed. So there won't be a plus there. There also won't be a plus on the deload weeks. So if I click on, it says basic strength, week 31. I find that week here. So this is a deload week. We're in strength, which is usually we're going heavy, and I would usually have a plus for that last set so I can raise or lower their numbers, but not for a deload week because the numbers are, the percentages are decreased. So I don't want them doing more than 5 for that last set, for instance, for their back squats on Monday. Now let's go over how I take that 8 that they did on their last set here for that hang power clean and how I go about raising their numbers. So I do that through the 2 for 2 rule. So that states if a student, athlete, whomever can get 2 or more reps on their last set for 2 consecutive weeks. Again, this is where it says plus only because that's at a relatively high percentage for their 1 rep max. Then I will raise their numbers slightly. So for instance, if I got 8 reps here for hang power clean on the last set, and I got where it says 3 plus here, I got 5. I've got 2 or more above that last set for 2 consecutive weeks. Then I would go and raise those students' numbers slightly. So I would click on the info page, and then I would go to hang cling, and then I would raise their numbers slightly. Again, this is a feel thing. It depends on whether it's a upper body or a lower body lift, and you can kind of see this chart here. If they were to do like 15 reps where it says only do 3 plus, then obviously I know, okay, something's off here. That student is way stronger than what they are supposed to be doing for that core lift. So I would raise their numbers more versus if the rep says 5 plus and they got 7. All right, that's not as big of a difference as it is if they got like 10 more than what they were ideally supposed to get. So for instance, I got 8 where it said 5 plus, and then I got 5 where it said 3 plus. So I would raise my number slightly. So let's go to 310 here, and that will raise my 1 rep max so that the next week my numbers are a little bit more in line where it should be. So that's a really hard set for that last set there. And doing the 2 for 2 method, as seen here, allows me to raise or lower their numbers as they get stronger or weaker without having to constantly test out my students. With this program, I only test their 1 rep maxes 3 weeks on a 42-week program. I really don't need to test their 1 rep maxes at all, as long as they're doing a pretty good job with that last set there, having an honest max out set, because it will be pretty close to where they're at. It should be with that last set there. They shouldn't be able to get a whole lot more on that last set unless they've gotten stronger from where they were. Same thing if they've gotten weaker, if they're only getting 1 rep where they're supposed to get 5 reps for that last set, then I'll lower their numbers. And then I do that here on the date and say I lowered, or I'll change some numbers here. Say the 175 bench press for Carter. He got weaker on this lift. I'll put in 165. Say Lucy, her clean went up, so I'll put 115. Say that Izzy's back squat went up, 180. 180 again, 225. And say this is on a different date from the current date here. I'll put 312. 312, 2023. This is the last date that I did this test. And I'll just drag this down. I'll copy it. Control C. Control V. All right, so this is the latest date for their core lifts after I've changed their numbers. After the students have gone through their whole sheets for the first and second week, I'll collect the sheets. They should have written how many they did for their last set for each of their core lifts where it says plus. All right, so I take in how many did on their last set, and if it's higher or lower than what that rep scheme was, depending on that, then I'll raise or lower their lifts for that. So after I've raised or lowered their lifts, all right, it's been a couple weeks past that original start date. Now you'll start to see some changes, hopefully, for the positive in this number here, where that'll show whether they've gotten stronger or weaker as a class from their original scores. So hopefully that made sense with that 2 for 2 rule. If you wanted to learn more about how to use it, you can find that out on the information for creating your own strength and conditioning program page here, where I've had it written out from the strength and conditioning textbook. Or you could always shoot me an email and I can explain this to you further.